What do you think about the? I guess we're just gonna get right into it with the Charlotte Hornets. They selected with the number one pick. It was rumors that they were going around that they were going to select BJ Edgecombe if he fell to number four. Of course, we all know that did not happen. So the Hornets ended up selecting Con Knueppel Duke two guard. What was your reaction from that pick? Ace Bailey was still on the board. Trey Johnson was still on the board. What did you think about that?
Surprised, but not surprised. When you if us with us being Charlotte fans, we're very aware of our previous picks, and we're very aware of how some of those previous picks worked out. But when I saw Con Knueppel's name, honestly, it was disappointment at first. But then when you really look, I will agree with you. Definitely, no question about it. I would have taken this guy. I would have taken Trey Johnson and Ace Bailey over Con Knueppel. The only other thing I feel like if Ace would have got drafted to the Hornets, he may have put up a fight a little bit. Just the way his team went, making bold statements, allegedly, that they don't want to go to any of the top five teams, even though he ironically ended up on one. I just don't know how that would have went. So from our choices, we end up with a 6'7" guard from Duke.
He's about that's it may be Liam McNeely. I think that's about 6'7". With
Nah, he's 6'7".
They have Con at six. Take a look here.
Yeah, Colin Knueppel is 6'7". He's a 6'7", 217 guard out of Duke.
Oh
Um,
wow,
yeah, so he's a big guard, which I like, but we know in the NBA it takes athleticism. Every single year we're reminded of that when the season gets started. And so if you're not a real crafty sort of guy, which I don't believe he is a shooter. I just don't know what we're getting.
that's crazy. I did not know he was 6'7". Him and Liam McNeely do not play like they're 6'7", and I think that's the issue for me. As much as I feel like they can't shoot. Yeah, I did not know Con. Con plays like he's like 6'5", but I'm not gonna get stuck on this height. But to kind of piggyback what you're saying, um, I know we had talked on the last pod that it's a possibility that Con Knueppel could be picked with a number four pick. I think we definitely said BJ, Ace, Trey, and Con were all in play at the number four pick. So it wasn't too much of a surprise, as you said. It was a little bit more of a disappointment. Like, and when I say that, I felt like it was he's the safest pick, and I feel like you don't want to go with the too much of a safe pick with the number four pick in the draft. You want to go with the star talent, and he could have the potential to be a star, but I just feel like he has the lowest upside out of everyone out of those players. But he does fit a need that Charlotte needed, which was shooting, and that's the only reason why I felt like Trey Johnson could because we know Trey Johnson can just get a bucket. And I felt he would have been great alongside Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, another guy that can create for himself and just get right into it. But I get the selection. Um, it's just like I said, man, it's just kind of like I think they were too afraid to trade back because they didn't think Khan would be there. Because a lot of people did value Khan as a prospect, his playmaking ability, which he displayed when Cooper Flag went out this past season. So he's a good player. I can't knock it at all. I think it just like people felt like me personally, like I said, I could be wrong. I feel like Trey Johnson and Ace Bailey have more star potential, but I do like to fit alongside LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, another shooter that's desperately needed on the team. We can't keep depending on LaMelo and Brandon Miller to only be the and Miles Bridges to be the only guys carrying the offense.
I agree. I feel like with the picks more so, it's more of a like a safer pick, like you were saying. It won't ruffle any feathers, and I honestly think management is trying to mix some personalities in the locker room. I mean, you don't just have Con Knueppel, you got Liam McNeely, Sion James, and Ryan Kolkbrenner. I feel like aside from Sion, the other guys probably have a certain type of personality, and this is not judging the book from outside. I'm looking at how guys are speaking, how they're interacting with interviews, kind of the history that they have in college sports. And that's not to say that these other guys that we mentioned are have bad personalities or bad people, nothing at all. But they do come with that sort of it potentially it factor about him, and that's going to come with some attitude in a good way. A guy that may speak a certain way in the locker room to other guys. He may be boisterous on the court. That doesn't take away from his game or who he is as a person. Those are just some of the factors that come along with certain guys. And I feel like with Khan, Liam, and Ryan, you don't have to worry about that. These are guys that's going to come in, they're going to show up, they're going to probably keep their mouth shut, they're going to just go by the book. And mixed in with kind of what we already have, management may be doing this on purpose.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people are saying. Feel like we got guys that's gonna just put their head down and get to work. More of a culture shift from what we had in the past. I know we had a lot of players associated with the team that has gotten in some off the court situations. When you look at James Bouknight, and when you look at Kai Jones, his viral videos, he looked like he was not in the best place mentally. And then when you also add in wearing guys like Miles Bridges, he has this thing going on, um, getting arrested, and then you also have he was out for the season. And then you just have, I think Montrez is a free agent for us at one point, and he gets pulled over in the traffic stop. And then you got a guy who's a former Hornet, even though he wasn't on our team or wasn't he's he was still associated because he played for a team in previous seasons. Devontae Graham had gotten a situation like that. I think got pulled over as well. And then when you look at like PJ Washington, kind of like the more so off the court drama with and I'm not gonna go into too much, but I can't think of Brittany Renner, if I'm not mistaken. So just a lot of stuff that gets mixed in off the court that people just pin to the Hornets. Even like I said, some of those things like Hero and Devontae didn't necessarily kind of reflect that or wasn't a direct impact on the Hornets, but they were associated with the team in somehow, some way. So I do feel like they were definitely going for guys, so they felt like um, more of a culture change. The one piggyback, or one thing I would disagree with is that for me, I feel like they made a lot of people are saying that, oh, this is a home run draft. They made smart choices in the draft. They selected the right players, smart players, high IQ guys, and just like, so you're telling me Brandon Miller is not a high IQ player? He doesn't work hard. He doesn't bust his ass on the court. And we tell me guys like LaMelo don't take like LaMelo takes the game seriously. Like he made do some and one stuff, some add that street ball creativity to his game, which is needed. But you can't sit here and tell me that taking LaMelo Ball at number three was not a smart choice. You can't tell me not taking Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson a couple years ago wasn't a smart choice. And so that's my thing with I feel like the Hornets are getting a lot of they get they pretty much for lack of a better term get shit on for past drafts and when they hit on LaMelo and Brandon Miller. And LaMelo's an all-star. Brandon Miller was a rookie of the year candidate if it wasn't for Victor Wembanyama. So it's just like I get it. We got some guys from nice programs, but let's not get it too twisted. We just had some players on the team that have made past mistakes that are really no longer with us, except for Miles Bridges.
Yeah, man. You pretty much summed that up. It's definitely an attempt to kind of shift the culture a little bit. We're kind of our stain, not in my eyes at all. I want to be clear, but in the eyes of the media, we're kind of stained as far as the character maybe within the locker room, the way the media sees it. I want to be clear with that because I don't think you should judge these guys off of one or two reads that you have about them. But yeah, we'll see what Khan's gonna do. I mean, hopefully it wouldn't help me any as a fan if he doesn't come in and produce. So I hope he comes in and produces. And maybe we're all wrong, but an unathletic guard who can shoot and less play make, I'm just not sure how that translates to the league.
So I'm not going to say that he's unathletic. He's just not as athletic as your typical two guard in the league. I think he definitely, what he's going to have to do is kind of like he reminds me of, and it's going to sound far-fetched, but he has good footwork. Almost, I'm not going to say Jalen Brunson footwork, but he's going to just have to rely on what's gotten him to this point, his footwork, his shooting ability, his passing ability. He reminds me, and people, it's not because he's white. He has similar game to Austin Reeves, but I think he's a way better shooter than Austin Reeves. Maybe not as athletic, but I think he can't have that same type of impact on the game, create for others, get to the basket, high level shooting. And like I said, I like the fit. I'm not gonna say I love it, but I really, really like the fit within the starting five. Do you think he plays right away?
I think he has to. Hornets aren't coming off anything successful, so he's gonna have to get in the mix in some sort. Don't know if it's gonna be, ultimately heavy minutes. I would, in a perfect world, I would hope LaMelo, Brandon, and Miles for sure are starting, which would not leave room for Khan to get that starting spot. But coming off the bench for sure.
So,
Um,
so I think Miles can play more to four, and then they're going to slide Brandon Miller instead of him playing the two. I think they're going to make Brandon Miller play the three, and then have Khan fill in for that two position.
Way coach mix it up. He went small a little bit towards the end of the year last year. Of course, we didn't have nearly as many pieces as we have now, but I just would be curious to see how he throw it in there. Com hopefully will end up playing.
Yeah, I think he's going to get more time than Salon got last year
Okay.
to John
And he's been
Salon.
working on his game too. I know you've been seeing him drop some of those clips here and there, but hopefully Hornets come back and we really are competing next year. Feel like I say this every year, but I feel like next year we will be competing.
Now we should like I said, and I like these guys overall. I think we had a like I know everybody's saying um, it's a real good draft. I can't argue that honestly. I like Colin Knueppel. Like I said, I thought the number four selection was that number four spot was a little rich for my taste, but uh, I can't argue it. We can look at Liam McNeely. He's going to be. I think that's going to be a guy that's going to spend a little bit of time in the G League, but
Hmm.
has potential to grow. He's a younger guy as well. Well, most of these guys, Con and Liam, are both freshmen, but I think he's a guy that is another hollow shooter. But he was just in a bad spot in UConn as far as what his role was. But I think he'll definitely have an opportunity to play in Charlotte. Like I said, I don't think he will get many minutes right away. I like Sion James. Looks like a hard worker, defender. Handle needs to get a lot better. He reminds me, he has a handle like Tony Allen, but can pass better than Tony Allen. But has the potential to be a defender like a Tony Allen, a Lou Dort, just a tough defender, hard nosed, like you say, one of those guys that just feels the need for our team. We don't really have a guy who's just gonna hey, you go out there and lock him down, or you. So I really think we need another defender on the team, and Ryan Kalkbrenner. And speaking of the center position, we traded away Mark Williams to the Phoenix Suns. And so we did have a need to get another big man. I like Ryan Kalkbrenner. The guy's like 35 years old, but I think he'll definitely bring some size to us on the team. And we'll see. I mean, I think you can't argue size, Pauls. Like he's a legit 7 footer and can protect the rim. We see how he moves as far as a big man in the league. I think he fits more of that chop center profile. He's not somebody that's gonna guard on the perimeter like Bam does for Miami, or even the old man Al Horford for that case. But with the Mark, did you have anything to say about Sion James, Ryan Kalkbrenner, or Liam McNeely?
No, it's pretty much the same across the board. Like even pretty much what I was saying about Khan, not as far as his specific play style, but just what these guys are bringing. I feel like they're each bringing something individual to the team. It's just gonna have to be how it gets put together. That's really the important part. But no, I'm curious to see how it go, man. We'll not gonna harp on the Hornets too much on them. Um, we
And
could be
one
wrong.
and one thing I did just, how did you feel about that Mark Williams trade? Liam McNeely was the first round pick we got back for him, along with the additional pick. Did you like the trade? Did you feel like it was time to kind of move on for Mark after the Lakers trade, the failed Lakers trade?
Yeah, I feel like after you try to trade a guy and it gets vetoed for whatever reason, it doesn't go through. You still have to get that guy moved out. I'm sure it's uncomfortable for both sides. But it was smart for management, especially after that point, because if you didn't trade Mark for something, he was gonna walk for nothing. So go ahead and get something for him. I actually think it'll benefit Mark way more than it'll benefit the Hornets. I would expect to hear Mark's name more and more. Big man with some good feet, and can kind of play a little bit away from the rim here and there. So I think it's going to be good for Mark, maybe not so much for the Hornets.
Yeah, good luck, Mark, man. I mean, I saw him get bullied by Daniel Gafford, and then I was pretty much finished with him, man. I mean, to me, he just plays soft, doesn't really have high energy. Um, I mean, I feel like Diabate made him expendable, and that's not a good thing if Diabate. I mean, shout out to Diabate. Diabate plays hard, works hard, and I think he made Marcus Venable. But like I said, we're not gonna harp too much on it.